The delusional downfall of a mid-tier show. Neds Declassified. Video here by Patrick CC. Okay, they're going to 100% see this video. By the way, haven't them been like super sociable? They've been on social media doing podcasts, trying to get clickbait views like crazy, bro. And the main Neds Declassified girl, wasn't she caught up fucking giving head?
Well, most child actors eventually grow up to hate their kids' TV roles. Others, like the cast of Nickelodeon's Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, are trying so hard to return to the only version of themselves that the world still remembers. Their never-ending pursuit to reboot the show went from a fun walk down memory lane to a desperate attempt to get work.
I just don't understand how Spider-Man can be remade 437,896 times and Neds Declassified can't even get reboot once.
Harmless nostalgia turned into oversharing.
But reboot into what? What are we gonna make an adult TV show of you guys taking care of your kids? Like, or going into a podcast, like tips on how to get a podcast going? What are we gonna watch you guys do? I mean, like, I'm a little biased actually because I really like I grew up around that era, so I do like the show a lot. But yeah, I don't know. She doesn't have a good argument. You know, it wasn't even like a top 5 fucking TV show.
And the more they talk, the more they destroy the show's reputation.
I ran through every Ned's cast member before I landed on
Bro, what?
Devin.
Do you remember that?
The first what? Which one, Lindsay?
The first one, Devin.
First what?
BJ.
Somehow, the harder they work to get their fan base to come together and celebrate a shared
Bro, that's so cringe. And you know she's just doing it because, like, they had a discussion before. They definitely sat down, in that episode, they definitely sat down, you know, right before that started and was like, all right, like, we need to, how can we get engagement out of this? Somebody has to tell us, like, some kind of, like, interesting story or we're not going to get any followers out of this at all. And if she hadn't started that, if she didn't take the bullet and just start talking about how she gave head to everybody, that podcast would be done for, bro. It would already be over.
shared childhood memory, the more clear it became there isn't anything worth revisiting. And what proceeded to happen was one of the weirdest downfalls in Nickelodeon history.
I just have to say right now that the hate in my inbox is not okay.
Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide is not in most people's top 5 best Nickelodeon TV shows. It was good, but there were too many legendary shows to compete with, like Drake and Josh, iCarly, Victorious, The Amanda Show, All That, Kenan and Kel, etc. The show follows Ned, a 6th grader who is narrating the story of his crazy day-to-day life in middle school, alongside his 2 best friends, Cookie and Mose. Cookie is a cyber genius, always looking to technology to solve their problems.
You know, this show is actually kind of like it's like the underdog show that you root for. You know, like if you stack them up like with all of the other TV shows of that era, Drake and Josh, what was the other ones that they had? Zoe 101. Kenan and Kel, I didn't even really watch like that. Let's see. iCarly. I did watch iCarly. Gibby. Bro, Gibby.
Victorious, The
Amanda Show, I didn't really watch like that.
The Show, All That, Kenan and
All That, I didn't watch like that.
Kel, etc. The show follows Ned.
I mean, if you put them up next to all those shows, that actually is a top 5 show. Am I tripping? Was I in a different childhood than everybody else?
A 6th grader who is narrating the story of his crazy day-to-day life in middle school, alongside his 2 best friends, Cookie and Mose. Cookie is a cyber genius, always looking to technology to solve their problems. Mose is the level-headed girl best friend that Ned can't decide if he is secretly in love with or not. And together, they navigate crazy teachers, bullies, crushes, group projects, school lunches, dances, and whatever other school shenanigans they get into.
Sitting in the back of the bus definitely has more bounce, but you might not want to push it.
You know, I don't remember like a single episode though. I don't remember the basis of like one single episode from this show.
Greatest bus bounce in the history of the world!
And although the show was comedic, often putting the cast in ridiculous and unrealistic scenarios, many of the tips Ned gave to the viewer could be perceived as genuinely good advice for a coming-of-age teen.
Preset Reset your lock's first two numbers, so later you can open it with the classic one turn.
What really made the show stand out was the abundance of wacky side characters, like Gordy the janitor, Vice Principal Scrubs, Coconut Head, Rambling Martin Quirley, and of course, Timmy Toot Toot.
Hey, I'm Ned. Toot toot. What's toot toot?
Every cast member felt like a caricature of someone you might recognize from a real school. I'll never forget the jock Seth Powers, who was literally always spinning a basketball on his finger no matter where he was. Neds debuted to a healthy, but not as stellar, 4.5 rating and 914,000 tweens. And not as stellar really is the perfect way to...
Bro, that's viral. Like, you made a viral TV show for that time. I think that's a viral TV show. I don't know what the... I don't know, because if you put it next to those other TV shows that he listed, bro, those are not that great either. Like, what was the great, like, what made them greater than, especially for it being like a new IP? It's pretty much a new IP. Like, Drake and Josh was a spinoff from The Amanda Show. You already had a fan base there. Keenan and Kel, that dude showed up in fucking everything. Like, that's pretty fucking impressive.
To describe it, it was solid. Not iconic, perhaps even a bit underrated, especially considering that the show's comedy has actually aged pretty well. It didn't have the obnoxious laugh track or creepy Dan Schneider innuendos. The show lasted for 3 seasons at 55 episodes, which was normal for a standard good Nickelodeon show. It was nominated for a couple awards, but didn't win anything. Devin, Lindsay, and Daniel never won any Kids' Choice Awards, and thus were not seen as actors who desperately needed a spin-off series. After Neds, Devin and Daniel stayed within the kids' TV realm. Devin secured a TV movie called Shredder Man Rules, as well as a few different voice acting roles, and Daniel got a support role on Disney XD's Zeke and Luther. Meanwhile, Lindsay went on to have the most successful career. After Neds, she immediately landed roles in back-to-back popular TV series, Aliens in America.
What are these shows? What is that? I've never seen even a promo, commercial, nothing for that.
And 10 Things I Hate About You. The success of those shows led to her securing a series regular in Pretty Little Liars, one of the most popular and culturally iconic teen dramas of the 2010s. Unfortunately for Devin and Daniel, they didn't land any significant roles into their adulthood. They got some tertiary roles in TV shows and bit parts in direct-to-video movies, enough to keep their bills paid, but nothing that would remotely consider them thriving Hollywood actors. Even 15 years later, Devin was exclusively known for his childhood role as Ned, so he decided to lean heavily into nostalgia to grow his social media accounts.
I played this guy. Well, yeah, I'm an adult now. Fans of the show, they've been reaching out. They've been saying, where's Ned for adulthood? They're saying, I need tips for adulthood because I don't know what I'm doing, and I get it. Life is hard.
Devin began a small series on his TikTok giving life tips for adults, playing into his original role of Ned Bigby, who helped those same people survive middle school. His videos scratched that nostalgic itch for tons of old fans, and they hope...
You know why it didn't work for him? You know why it didn't work for him? The reason that didn't work for him is because he wasn't an adult yet. In his head, he didn't actually grow up. So when he's giving these fucking tips, bro, and now he's like trying to get the podcast going, like, you seen the difference even in that video towards the podcast? Like, he cut his hair. Bro, I'm not listening to nobody that's...
The show would be revived for an adult audience, especially considering Raven's Home was bringing back That's So Raven, and iCarly was also rebooted for the adult fan base. Devin announced that he pitched a Neds Declassified reboot to Nickelodeon executives, but didn't get the response he wanted.
For the last 2 years of my life, bringing the Neds Declassified Adulthood Survival Guide reboot to life has been a huge goal of mine. Imagine Ned, Mose, and Cookie getting out of college, struggling through their 20s, bringing you tips on taxes, online dating, self-care, roommates, budgeting, all of it. I wanted it for you. I wanted it for me, and I thought it would be amazing to make a self-help sitcom for a generation that could use a friend. Cookie and Mose were on board. The original creator and producer, Scott and Michelle Fellows, were on board, but we don't own the rights to Neds Declassified. So we pitched it to Nickelodeon and Awesomeness TV, who do own the rights to it, and they passed on it, and they won't let us take it to sell it somewhere else. So for now, the reboot's dead.
Maybe a TV show was off the table, but they did get the next best thing you could get in the 2020s, a podcast. A production company named Podco invested invested in a few nostalgia podcasts that weren't able to get full TV reboots. Wizards of Waverly Place, Full House, and
this is when it starts to get cringe. Like my stomach dropped immediately. Like what you guys did was just settled, bro. Which is so sad because this was an underdog show. It could have. I could see them actually, like, now I could see them doing like taxes or, man, that's actually a good idea, bro. I would watch that show. I would watch that show, especially for the nostalgia factor of it. Like, I would watch that.
Even Stevens were other examples of old shows that were reimagined with podcasts. As a result, the Neds Declassified Podcast Survival Guide was created, featuring Devin as well as Daniel Curtis Lee and Lindsay Shaw. The concept was to rewatch old episodes, share behind-the-scenes stories, and chat with other co-stars or actors featured on the show. And the first episode was a huge success. It is still the most popular episode they have ever done, but it was questionable how long this show could last. Sure, the original production had over 50 episodes and tons of side characters that they could explore, but it was a 20-year-old B-tier kid show about surviving middle school, which is why just a few episodes into the podcast, the crew shifted from only talking about the past to talking about their current lives or struggles after the show. A common theme woven into the pod was them giving advice to the audience, as a nod to the original show. The cast positioned themselves as guides for adulthood, weighing in on relationships, careers, confidence, and personal growth. The problem was, this wasn't wisdom coming from people who had successfully navigated Hollywood.
You know what they should have done? They should have done most of the show should have been fans submitting in videos. Like they did a quick intro. Fans submit in videos and they give advice per that. That way you have some kind of structure as far as where the conversation is going. What happened here is what happens with all conversations. You get past the first layer of shit, right? And then you dig deep enough and now you're talking about sex. It's what happened. This is what happens when you sit down in a room with a group of people or even just one other person and have nothing to talk about. Eventually, we're going to get into trauma, sex, politics, religion. It's something's about to happen.
Reinvented themselves or built something new, and as a result, them giving their perspective on life was not exactly profound.
That makes it hard to really have a human connection because you want to engage with this idea of what you want versus finding these people and and exploring.
Yeah, I'm attracted to who someone is, what their energy is, what their sense of humor is.
I like the surprises of people, you know.
Yeah. Of like different types.
The more they tried to give advice, the more unsure they seemed.
Sometimes you got to give a little. Like there is your perfect world, which involves only you, but then there's also some positive things about others.
Yeah, because like when you're on your own, you only have to really give what you want to give. But then when you give something that, like, I don't know, like I don't know, it's kind of nice too, or you receive something from another person that you really need. Like that's the joy I found in it. Because And now I know I think I'd be ready to live alone.
And to be fair, nobody expects people in their early 30s.
Like this is the only way to find good ideas too. Like, you just have to keep yapping.
To be extremely wise or have life completely figured out. It just feels a little ironic getting advice from people who are failing to reboot a show about giving advice to people.
Man, I really wish we could make like a Ned's adult reboot because there's so many topics we could cover in a fun way, and this is one of them. Learning how to live with other people who come from fully other backgrounds of behavior and norms and expectations of how to keep a place and what all of it, it's not always going to be a fit. So I'll say that. Some of the time, it's just not a fit, and then you need to figure out how you're transitioning out of it or how you are going to make your peace with the fact that you cannot change this person.
Even a year after the podcast had started, the crew simply could not let the idea of a reboot go.
How come there hasn't been a Neds reboot?
Do you know why?
No, I don't know. I honestly don't.
We don't either. Because Paramount's in shambles, man.
Well, right
and
about
Nickelodeon
now,
can't get their together.
That I know.
And I don't think they truly appreciate what a no-brainer doing something with the Neds IP is. Like, I don't think they understand how emotional it is for the fan base and how ready the fan base is.
Critics started looking at them as three washed-up child actors reminiscing about their peak. They are so desperate for work, it's embarrassing. I love the way that they act like they're doing it for the fans when it's obviously so self-serving.
Yeah, bro, this is just what you needed a base structure for the show, and it looks like they just didn't have it. They thought that they could just get on camera and start yapping. Eventually that's going to turn into really deep conversations, which really expose yourself, and people are going to start really knowing how you feel about things, and then people are going to start judging you based on those. And you can kind of avoid that. Like, eventually people are going to know who you are, right? They're going to know what you stand on things. Like, that's inevitable. But you got to make them love you first. They did not do that. You needed structure. You needed something. I'm telling you, the video ideas would have been great. Fans sending in videos like, hey, bro, I just fucking did this on my taxes. Haven't paid taxes in like 30 years.
This is where the podcast started to fall off the rails a little bit, because as the three dug deeper into their childhood memories, the more the audience wished they would have kept that to themselves. Like when Lindsay discussed her and Devin's intimate history together.
Like once we started dating, we would just
take off and I would go.
We would go
make
out.
Just go off at lunch and make out.
Oh right.
How long were these makeout sessions?
I mean, they were lunch.
All of lunch.
Really?
Yeah. We would go make, and then they'd come and they'd have to redo our makeup.
Like, oh.
just dry humping.
How far were you guys really going? Oh, dry humping. What base is that? Did you guys go all the way? Did you knock it out of the park at any point?
No comment.
No comment? No comment? I kind of want to know.
Now, at first, the comment section was loving this, which is likely why they kept talking about these private experiences.
Dude, I ran through every Neds cast member before I landed on Devin.
Damn.
Remember that? I remember like telling Theo that I liked him, and we like held hands at the movies.
He's so mysterious.
And Rob. And then Dev was like, hey. And I was like, you guys, hey.
You definitely had your pick.
Don't say it like that, though. If you say it like that, I'm going to think that you were fucking all of them. Which is gross. I don't want to think about that. You're...
minute there. Between Rob, Theo, and me. Any others?
No, Kyle scared me.
Really?
Because he had used that big dong on, he had already lost his virginity.
But then they would take it too far when Lindsay brought up a time where her and Devin went past first base.
What are you going to ask on this public podcast, Lindsay?
Do you remember that?
The first what? Which one, Lindsay?
The first one, Devin.
First what?
BJ.
I actually do. You really want to talk about this on the pod?
I just wanted to say that I felt like a failure from that point because
he didn't finish.
I know. Yep.
No.
You didn't. You didn't. After a moment, he just said, "Thanks, okay," and you got up and you went to the bathroom and you did your thing.
And again, if you were to just look at the comment section, you'd think this is exactly what the audience.
Can Lindsay and Devin just get together already? Like legit though, what y'all are describing each other and what you're looking for is wild. I need Devin and Lindsay to get back together, please. Dude, obviously they were just fucking.
Wanted, but the silent majority said otherwise. Stories like these are already extremely discomforting, as most people would prefer not to hear about intimate moments between middle schoolers. But it's even worse when you consider how closely tied it is to Neds Declassified. People have fond memories of the show from their childhoods, and to recontextualize the program's creation with stories like these only ruin it for many fans. And as a result, their viewership numbers started falling from well over 100K per episode to consistently below 100K. Lindsay in particular has a history of getting in trouble with her off-the-cuff comments. Notably, she found herself being accused of racism after she posted this video criticizing a TikTok dance.
Are we okay? What the f*** is this?
And you,
bro, a whole time looking like a whole pug. Looking like a pug, bro. Nice mustache.
You won't believe how little of a controversy blew up in her face. Some felt her negative reaction towards the dance was a byproduct of racial insensitivity, even though it's more likely that she is just an out-of-touch millennial acting like dancing for the internet is weird. Then again, Lindsay had previously made positive comments about the trend after Devin posted his own video doing the dance.
The issue is how quick people are to discredit black content creators. Lindsay applauds her white co-star when he does the dance.
What the f*** is this?
But can't give the respect and the credit to the guys who made it.
Lindsay quickly deleted her comment as well as the original video before uploading a tear-filled response addressing the allegations.
I just have to say right now that the hate in my inbox is not okay. I did not mean anything in any kind of way. I am learning every day, as I think everybody is. And this kind of hate just needs to evaporate from the planet, no matter who it's directed towards. Crocodile tears, no, dude. Like, this is like my soul out there. If you know anything about what I stand for or what I believe in, you know that it's not this. I am sorry you were offended.
Some people interpret her saying, "I'm sorry that you were offended," as a backhanded apology, and her crying only made herself seem like the victim rather than her having a...
This is like, look, this is like if Zach and Cody, I know Zach and Cody's a fucking much better TV show, but this is like if Zach and Cody started a fucking podcast, and then I had to hear them about one of them hitting, you know, what was one of the girls on there? I mean, you know, like this is exactly the same thing. I would just be like, man, like, can I just die knowing that was a funny TV show and it like pretty much erased me while my parents got a divorce? Can I just live? Can I just have that?
Level-headed response, clarifying the misunderstanding. But this makes sense considering Lindsay has said on the podcast that she enjoys being the damsel in distress, recounting a time when she faked a shoulder injury for months to receive special attention.
This thing happened in my shoulder where, like, I popped the socket out, but it didn't hurt. But I made them take me to the doctor, and I wore an arm sling for the next 2 months and did all of my homework with my left hand because I loved that damsel in distress feeling. And so there was nothing wrong with my elbow. And with my shoulder. I can still pop it out to this day. It's just like a double jointed thing.
After she filmed herself crying for the internet, she announced her indefinite departure from social media while pleading for people to be more compassionate and understanding. There is no doubt that this controversy wasn't that big, something that they could have easily ignored or addressed very quickly and briefly, but them attempting to make it bigger than it was and address it over and over again just made it worse.
If you know Lindsay personally, you know she's a hater on all sorts of things. Black, white, brown, popular, unpopular, and can be a reactionary and defensive person. But she's also got a good heart and is dealing with personal issues and challenges that none of you know anything about. So now we have a perceived racial bias and perceived microaggression. That's possibly a good opportunity for education of some ignorance that's being turned into hate and telling her to herself in her DMs.
It was becoming more clear that these three didn't exactly know how to conduct themselves online, something that would only continue to get them in trouble, like when they made light of other child stars' stories of being abused on Nickelodeon sets. The Quiet on Set documentary was a 5-part series that details the dark, behind-the-scenes world of children's television from the late 1990s to the early 2000s, specifically during Dan Schneider's tenure as a producer and showrunner on Nickelodeon. Multiple alleged victims were featured on the show that claimed that they were asked to massage Dan, asked to have phone sex, were sodomized by him, among other horrific behavior. But the most notable story was the fact that Drake Bell had been molested by his dialogue coach, Brian Peck. Most people were mortified at the revelation that one of the most prominent faces of their childhood was abused during the peak of his childhood career. However, the Neds Declassified cast made the bizarre choice to mock the situation.
Daniel, we told you never to speak about that. Get back in your hole, Daniel, and give me your holes. Sorry, we shouldn't joke about this. We really shouldn't.
This is awful. Why are we doing this?
Because this is about us. Listen, our set was not like that. And no, it's awful. The Drake Bell is that's crazy to hear. That is, man. And that never came out, which is really wild.
Gross behavior. He wouldn't be joking about it if it was himself or his children who had been sexually abused. Damn, that reboot ain't happening now. Even Drake Bell responded to the joke, saying, "Ned's declassless. This is wild. Laugh it up, guys. Laugh it up. Give me your whole..."
I mean, even at this point, what they could have done is even at this point, what they could have done is just had ChatGPT start spewing out shit that they could have done for the TV show to keep some kind of structure, bro. You guys need an adult still.
Really? Devin took to Twitter to apologize for his insensitivity. "I was being an idiot today. No way around it. I feel horrible that my dumbass was even speaking about this without seeing it. I watched Quiet on Set tonight and am horrified by the gravity of what Drake and others shared. Truly heartbroken about what my fellow
bro. Stop apologizing to these fucking accounts, dude. These are just random people. Just move better in the future. That's all you have to do, man. I'm tripping, bro. I have 24 subscribers in my YouTube account. But what I'm saying is, if I was famous and something like this happened, the only thing to do to have people stop talking about it is for you to stop talking about it. Because where they are throwing into a flame, right? Say the situation that you have is one flame. You have accounts that are throwing one log at a time. Well, what you don't know is whenever you start talking about it as the center of that flame, whenever you come by, what you're throwing down is a fucking log, okay? And that thing is going to burn for forever. You're just igniting the fire. You're making it worse. It doesn't matter if you say sorry. It doesn't matter if you say you actually meant it. It doesn't matter. Once you start talking about it as the main person of that situation, that's where you lose it, buddy. You're cooked.
Went through. I can't believe they weren't protected. I'm sorry for compounding any hurt. The three tried to give more context to the situation on an episode of their podcast where they claim that this was all a misunderstanding.
We hadn't seen the doc. Everyone was asking us for our opinions on. Now having seen the documentary, it's so disturbing.
And we had no clue of the magnitude of what they were discussing.
If I had just watched especially that third episode and then watched us joking like that,
you would be upset.
I would be like, are they sociopaths?
Get it clear, you guys were not speaking on that.
I know what the joke sounds like, but I was talking to Daniel.
Now sure, they may not have seen the documentary before they made the joke on the live stream, but they clearly knew enough about it because he did say, oh yeah, what happened to Drake was terrible, so they at least knew something. And even though they never worked with Dan Schneider because he was not the producer of Neds Declassified, they had heard the rumors about him over the years. So it's a little tough to believe that the joke that Devin made on the TikTok live was just merely a coincidence and had nothing to do with Drake Bell, because the comments were asking about Drake, and Devin made a joke towards Daniel, although technically about a different situation, but still acting as this authoritative figure who would sodomize their employee if the job wasn't done, which effectively is what the entire documentary was accusing Dan Schneider of doing for his whole career. But above all else, once again we see that these three don't understand how to conduct themselves online. Sure, we all laugh at messed up stuff, but usually in private with close friends, offline, not on a live stream.
Bro, that's just being fake. See, that's just being fake. Like, God, she is tough to look at, bro. And I don't think she's ugly. I want that to be clear. I don't think she's ugly, but she's a little hard to look at. Hold on, give me 1 second, guys.
2 years, the three former child actors had completely destroyed their reputation, and the idea of a reboot had fully soured in the eyes of fans. Not because of one poorly executed joke, but because fans were hoping to relive the joy of their youth through the podcast, only to find out the people behind their favorite characters aren't that great. They signed up for...
So let's see this. In the middle of this, right? While we're doing this, what we're gonna do is we're going to go to Neds Declassified. Are they still running it? Are they still running it? Yeah, there it is. Oh man, they're not even in a pod together. Did they lose the pod? Oh, this is tough, man. I don't want to say. Hey guys, why are you guys doing music videos? I mean, people are overly people are generally positive about it. I mean,
guys, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Sometimes it can feel like everyone else has it all together in their love lives, whether married.
This show is brought to you by BetterHelp.
This kind of does look sad, man. And when did they really start tanking? So about a year ago, they really started going down hard. 4,000 views, bro. The Adult Guide to Dropping Out of College. Okay. Yeah. I can't even see myself watching it.
Ned, Cookie, and Mose, but instead they got three out-of-touch millennials who couldn't let go of the past, and more specifically, didn't know when to stop talking. But this is just the reality of life. The characters we portrayed as heroes to our childhoods are more often than not regular and unimpressive people. The podcast continued while viewership sunk further and further, and despite this, somehow Lindsay was still perplexed as to why they hadn't received a reboot.
I just don't understand how Spider-Man can be remade 437,896 times and Neds Declassified can't even get reboot once. Not even reboot once for a crappy TV movie. Just let us have a crappy TV movie.
The idea that Neds Declassified is anywhere near the notoriety of Spider-Man can be summarized with just one word: delusional. And delusion...
You know another aspect to this? Sorry, I didn't have this on full screen. But you know another perspective that you could take on this? This goes back to not having any structure at all with the podcast. in the beginning of the podcast, not only did they not have segments for any kind of like, guide to where they're going to be talking about, but also it's not that hard to film a TV show. Now, I say that lightly. What I mean by that is look at like TV shows like Gillian Keeves, Shane Gillis. That blew up. There's a ton of YouTube videos that are produced at very, very low budgets, and they're able to get, great quality content out of it, and then they progress on to getting their own TV show later. But you guys are not doing any of that.
Seems to be the catalyst for a lot of their issues. Understandably, Neds Declassified played a huge part in their childhoods, but the cast seems to be under the assumption that it was just as important to everybody else, when in reality, it was just a decent show. Like, it was pretty good. It was fine. But the greatest example of their delusion is the fact that their podcast got canceled due to low viewership and low interest, and they still won't let it go. The Neds podcast was able to get started because of Podco, a media company that supplied the cast with their own studio, lights, cameras, and production staff. But by late 2024, the show was struggling to bring in 20,000 viewers per episode, and Podco terminated their business relationship with the Neds podcast.
Neds Pod and Podco, we are breaking up amicably, right?
Yeah, we love them.
We're all going in different directions. They're dropping some shows, so we are now production company-less, but
we independent.
Yeah, which is cool.
Instead of seeing
God, so cringy, bro.
The writing on the wall that the nostalgia had dried up and people were just not interested in Neds Declassified anymore, they continued the podcast on a Zoom call. Now, producing a podcast really isn't that expensive, especially when you split the cost between 3 people in their 30s. Cameras, lenses, microphones, lighting, interface, and a space to do it in, you're realistically looking at $12,000 to $25,000.
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
$1,000 in upfront investment with relatively low monthly costs after that. Now, it's not nothing. It's not cheap, but if they couldn't afford this after 2 years,
it could have been funded, with a fan base. Like, if you would have put that in the fan base, like in the starting of the video, been like, here's our GoFundMe. That way we can branch off and do our own independent podcast. I'm sure you couldn't have said that then. But you could say something along the lines of like, so that we can do, a TV show or a pilot episode or something along those lines. Yeah.
Years of doing the pod, maybe that was an indication that it might not be working. Fans had less and less reasons to stick around and viewership continued to drop. And today, they only receive about a few thousand views per episode. The Neds Declassified podcast was almost completely dead, but has recently come back into the public eye under some harsh circumstances. A post went viral in September of 2025 featuring former Neds Declassified actor Tyler Chase, looking disheveled and living on the streets of Los Angeles.
Hello, my name is Tyler Chase, and I'm here on a Christian movement for acting.
Now, his role as Martin Quirley was a relatively small one on the show. Old fans remembered him almost immediately from his Nickelodeon days. The 3 addressed the viral video on the podcast where they tried to discuss the complicated situation.
When I first saw it, I was angry because I'm like, why put a camera in someone's face when they're on hard times? But then after I was angry at the people who were filming it, I was upset with myself in that
Bro, look at her, bro. Is she okay?
I feel powerless because I feel like there's not much I can do. Adulting is something that we talk about, and I don't know. Have you guys dealt with things like that where there's someone that you can't really? So it's so tough.
It seems like Daniel was reluctant to outright say there's nothing he can do because he could try to help Tyler. This probably ate away at him for a while, but escalated further when more videos of Tyler would go extremely viral.
Did you play on Disney Channel?
Nickelodeon.
Oh, it isn't Nickelodeon. What show is it again?
Neds Declassified, School Survival.
Oh yeah, you were that kid on it, huh? Yeah. I remember you.
After this, Daniel Curtis Lee decided to take more direct action to help Tyler. He met up with him.
And W mans, bro. But like, there's generally like nothing that you can do. I mean, I have family members that have went into that. There's nothing that you can do there, bro. Like, and maybe they just haven't dealt with that, but like everybody knows that, bro. Like, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you can lend your hand out, do whatever you can, but you can't go out of your way, bro. Like, you're gonna dig yourself into a hole.
Bought him some food, and even got him a motel room for the night.
I'm going to come back and holler at you, man, and we'll talk more about trying to get that situation squared away so we can do the rehab or whatever we need to, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Give me a hug, man. Love you, brother.
Now this was a nice gesture, although some pointed out that Daniel was now doing the exact thing he criticized others of doing, as he was filming and uploading his interactions with Tyler to his TikTok page. This was a damned if you do.
He's trying to help, bro. If he didn't post anything, you guys would say he didn't fucking help. Shut the fuck up, bro. That's so annoying.
Damned if you don't situation.
Internet,
Daniel did the right thing. But of course, there will be internet trolls who don't care about Tyler that are going to say whatever negative thing they can to get a reaction. Unfortunately, even though Daniel tried, he was shocked to discover that Tyler had trashed his hotel, flipped the refrigerator, put a microwave in the bathtub, and left the room with the door wide open.
I just feel so devastated. I'm at a loss. And his family told me that they had tried the hotel thing before and it didn't work. And of course, Dan, why did you assume that you were going to be able to fix this situation?
Daniel continues this video voicing his frustration at the lack of systems in place to get Tyler some help. For years, Tyler's family had been trying to intervene and get their son the help he so desperately needs, but the difficult reality is there are tons of systems in place to get him help, especially in Los Angeles. But Tyler has to want it, and fighting addiction, mental health struggles, and homelessness all at once is a brutal, seemingly impossible mountain to climb. At this point, it might be healthier for these three to just close the book on Neds Declassified. It was a solid kids show, a comforting memory of our childhoods, but it doesn't need to be endlessly revisited and dissected to prove it still matters. The best thing they can do is just let that show stay in the past. Let's remember it for what it was, not for what it couldn't become. We could say the same thing about iCarly, because while it looked like two best friends were living the dream on TV, something much darker was happening behind the scenes. But to hear more
W video, bro, I'll put him in the description. Obviously this has already got 1 billion views, but just out of respect. Yeah, I want to know, is there any way that they can bring this show back? Like, is there any coming back from this? Because I think no. I think you're better off separating. Kind of blew it. It would have been perfect. It kind of had the hype for it to be successful, but yeah, they really screwed it in the pooch. They really fucked that one up. And then God, W video, man. All right, cool. Leave a like.